How's it going, everyone? It's Dusty Tucker. Hey, how's it going, everybody? It's Dusty Tucker. I know it's been a while since I've made a video, and I say that like at the beginning of all my videos now, but it is what it is. Life gets in the way. I'm not a full-time YouTuber. I don't make any money off of it or anything, so it's not like I have to do it. It's a side gig to me, and I'm just doing it to kind of help other people out there that don't know about the stuff or the stuff that's not really on YouTube. There's a few videos of this thing out here, but not a whole lot. But as you can tell by the title of the video, this is going to be my personal opinion review on the Lee APP press, automatic processing press. You can use it for depriming. You can use it for sizing projectiles. Like if you're casting your own bullets and then powder coating them, you can size them on this thing. Or if you're just liquid aloxing it or whatever, you can size them on here too. It's mainly, I would say it's depriming. Yeah, it would work for pretty much any case. But I think it works best on pistol cases, straight wall cases, pistol cases, and more specifically. But for an inexpensive press in Canada, I think it ran me just around $200 shipped to my door for the base model. The base model comes with this red handle, but if you're processing a lot of brass, like hundreds of thousands, I would suggest upgrading to the wooden swivel handle. This one's okay, but you get blisters after loading because there's nothing that pivots on here. It's a fixed thing, so you're constantly frictioning your fingers in between here. You will get blisters if you are doing thousands and thousands of rounds, unless you're wearing a glove, I guess. But I don't really like to wear gloves for reloading because it's a lot of intricate things. Gloves get in the way. It comes with a bunch of different plastic pieces for different lengths of brass, different thicknesses, diameters of the brass, and everything like that. It has different size drop tubes and everything. You can get accessories for these. It doesn't have to be just the base model thing. You can get bigger case feed mechanisms that have like a rotary function, so you can have 4 tubes on them at once. When you empty the one tube, you flip it to the next tube, so on. Like there's a bunch of different things you can get for it, but the only thing that I bought for it was this handle here. So if you're into pistol caliber shooting of any kind, I don't know, most of it's dead in Canada now because you can't really buy pistols. You can't buy pistols at all anymore in Canada. So we're stuck with what we got if you were lucky enough to get one before the ban. It's also a reason I haven't been doing a whole lot of YouTube videos lately, is because I've just been so ticked off with our government that it's hard to motivate yourself to continue doing certain things. Anyway, for this press, I will warn you right now, it's pretty finicky to get running smoothly and properly. It takes some getting used to. It's not. Here, I'll flip the camera around and give you a better angle. So, APP press. It comes with standard shell holders. I can't remember which ones it comes with. I think it comes with a couple, 2 or 3. But I had to go buy some because I needed one for 45 Colt, and I needed one for 4440, which I no longer load, but still. These shell holders are different from your generic shell holders from these presses here. They're different. So you're going to keep that in mind. If you're going to buy this, make sure that you buy the proper shell holders that you need for whatever cartridge that you're loading. I think it comes with a standard one for 9mm and 223, I think, are the generic ones that it comes with. I don't know for sure. I had to buy the 11. I think the 11, it's got the chart on the back here. So make sure you find the right shell holder chart that you need for, here, let's see. You guys could always freeze frame and zoom in and find the one that you need if you would like. So, yeah, so if you are looking at getting one of these presses, right away is, this is the handle. It swivels with the wood on top, so it's a lot more comfortable. So do I recommend it off the bat? Yes, as finicky as it can get and as tedious it is with all the stuff, I still think it's worth it. It has a reservoir for spent primers. I have the universal decapping die in there right now, so I don't size because I started doing the wet tumbling. If I was still doing dry tumbling, I would just pick a crappy die up for resizing. A Lee sizer for 357 or 38, whatever. And I would just run it through that crappy die and then dry tumble it. Depends on the dry tumbling. I find that you get media stuck in the flash holes quite often. So when I used to do the dry tumbling stuff, I would actually deprime them and size them after. I would shoot the rounds and then throw them directly in the dry tumbler and then size and deprime after that. But because now I'm doing wet tumbling, it's pretty much the main reason I bought this press. It helps. I like having clean primer pockets with the wet tumbling stuff here. So I'll give you a little bit of a demonstration on how this works. You got a slider arm and a spring here, which pivots back and forth. And you can see how there's a little bit of play on the brass. That is good and bad. So I'll go slowly here. This little shell holder, it swivels, so it'll kind of auto adjust unless it's completely sideways, and then obviously it's not going to work. But as long as it's within line. And then there's these arms here, which you can adjust on when you want them to open and close. So there's a lot of little setup that you got to do for it. So let's just, here, I'll kind of give you a little bit of a demonstration on how this works. Goes down, deprimes, next one, and then it kicks it off into the bucket. So as you can imagine, if you have this timed properly, you can actually get it going pretty quick. I like to have a bucket down here for your processed stuff, and then I like to have another bucket over here for your non-processed stuff. That way you can just, with one arm, you can take and load up this tube, and then with the other arm at the same time, you could be working this mechanism, but also keeping an eye on everything here, because if you get going too fast, sometimes this can hang up and the brass will flick out and shoot out, and then sometimes it goes into the processed bucket. Now you got to sift through the processed bucket to make sure that it that it's not in there, and then pull it out and put it back in the tube. So here, I'll load it up here, and I don't really have a place to get a good camera angle, so I'm sorry guys, I'll just be holding it with one hand. So fill the tube. I don't like to fill it all the way up, because the more you have this, the more weight that's pushing down on that cartridge, which will cause it to want to hold it in place instead of bringing it forward. It'll kind of put too much weight on it, and then it'll kick the brass out like this, and then it just causes jams. So I only like to put about, I don't know, 7 or 8 in there at a time, probably that much. But like I said, if you keep feeding it at that level with your other hand, you can actually get going on this thing here. So let's see if I can get the arm's in the way. Let's see if I can get a better angle here for you guys. I'll do it slow at first just to show you the mechanism and everything, how it works. You can see how this would save you a lot of time in the reloading process, right? So there, I did it slow. It doesn't take long to fill it up, especially if you got music or something playing in the background and you just want to, you know, just go to town on this thing. But like I said, it's a little finicky at first. When you first open it and set it up, it's going to take you a while to get everything figured out. So let's see if I can run it a little bit quicker, but not have any problems. See how awesome that is? Like, it's a lot quicker than putting one brass in with your hand, depriming, taking it out, putting another one in. It speeds it up so nicely. Once in a while, I'll see if I can cause it to jam, and I'll kind of show you what I mean. Here, I'll load it up with more than I usually do. Oh, sometimes you can get a funnel for these things so that they all just funnel in there and they orient themselves properly. But I don't know, I just don't trust it because I've seen a couple of videos that some of them are upside down and it's going to cause. See, I have the tube full all the way now. Now we're going to have a lot of weight on that first bullet. So when it goes down and then you try to push it over, oh, it's actually going to work, but you can see it wanting to stay back because it was so heavy. There's a lot of weight on it. But it also depends on the spacing, the head space. See, that one almost shot out because there's so much weight on it. Now it won't be getting as bad because it's getting lighter. You just got to keep an eye on it. Oh, there we go. So there's a problem. See, it landed on the foot here instead of going all the way down, and then you have a hang up. So you just want to make sure that this one's deprimed, which it is. This one's not, so put it back in the tube. And then this one, you can kind of, if you put the arm back, take the pressure off of it. It's on the way. Just push it down with your finger, and then you should be good to go again. You just have to keep an eye on it. You don't want to go too fast to the point where you're not really paying attention, but you don't want to go, well, I don't know, I guess you could go slow, but if you're going to go too slow, you might as well do it on the old system. But it does save you time. Here, I'll flip this around so I'm not making you dizzy. It does save you a lot of time. I just shot I shot a 3-day match, so 12 stages, and then I shot a bunch of side match stuff. So I got over 500-600 brass to process. Everything from 45 ACP, 38s, and 357s, some longer range stuff. I haven't not tried the bigger stuff in here, so I don't know how it's going to work. Like the 4570 and stuff, I don't think it's going to work on here. I wouldn't recommend getting this press if you want to try and do 4570 mass production. It's probably not going to work. This is more so shorter case pistol brass. I haven't tried 223 on here either. There are, like I said, there are different size platforms that you can put on it. The biggest one is this one. And if you can imagine how long a 223 brass is, it's going to be about like this. So I feel like it's just going to be problematic. It's going to keep spitting them out from, I don't know. I would say this is more of a pistol brass tool versus rifle. But I mean, you could still use it and try it, and it would probably actually size bullets well too, for projectile sizing. I would just take this thing off the bottom and just put a bucket under there so it drops straight into a bucket. But for depriming, works really well for pistol brass, like I said. For resizing, I know in the box on the paper it says not really meant for resizing, but if you put a resizer die in there without the stem, if you take the stem out, like, let's see if I have one here. I should have one for the 38 special resizing die. So, bear with me. Okay, so right here, this is the resizing die for the 357. I took the stem out because, I mean, I use this for depriming anyways, right? So I don't need it. So I took the stem right out. Oh, I put that die in here, and I make sure that it's just not quite touching the bottom show holder so that you get the full length size. And if the little pin, if the desizing pin is sticking out of there in this press, it can actually kind of get hung up on it sometimes. So I just took it right out just to avoid any kind of confrontation. And I would definitely suggest using Lee dies on this, because Lee dies have carbide ring on the inside and they're tapered. They have a taper on them so that even if you're a little bit off center, it'll still guide it in the die. I noticed lots of the older RCBS dies do not have that taper. They're just completely square. I would not recommend that in this machine, because then it's not precise enough for that to work. So yeah, use Lee dies with this machine if you decide to get one. I'll flip it around again here. So overall, would I recommend this product? Okay, so cost versus productivity and all that jazz, I would say it's worth it. As finicky as it is, like this mechanism over here, let me get this brass out of the way. So you have, it's kind of a, you could probably rig something up better than this, but it's just a simple 2 nuts. You loosen one and then you adjust the whole thing, and then that gives you your headspace on the drop tube. So you want to make sure that you have your headspace. They say that you want to put a dime. Is it a dime or a quarter or a loonie? I can't remember what it is. For head spacing between the case that's at the bottom and then the next case that's coming. You want a little bit of a headspace. You want a little bit. And it takes some playing around with to get it to work properly. Like this nut here that's on this arm, if you watch that very carefully, you can see how close it is to the body of this here. Like it's right, it's so close to it, but that's where it needs to be. This has to be oriented properly so that it actually drops down onto the platform. If you have it too far back, it'll just sit on this platform and it'll never drop down. But like I said, it's something that you just have to play with. It took me a while, and I was kind of frustrated with it when I first got it and opened it and tried to put it together. It took me quite a while to figure out how it worked like a machine, like it's supposed to work. But now that I finally got it working out, it's not bad. I find it's a little bit more finicky with 357 brass than 38 special brass, because the platforms, the little red plastic platforms that it comes with, I wish they gave you more, because they only give you like some generic ones for like 9mm 40, like your regular pistol brass, not your 357 Magnum or 38 special brass. So it takes a little bit more doctoring and stuff to get it to work better for 357. It can be kind of a pain. But overall, I do recommend it because it is not stupid expensive. Like without the handle, I think it was maybe just over I think it was like $215 or $220 to my door. Installed it, and you know, it's one of the cheaper, like, I mean, this little guy here, this partner press, is almost $100, and you can't really do, it doesn't have a depriming arm or a priming arm on it, so it's pretty much just used for sizing or your standard. I use it for bullet seating. That's pretty much all I use it for. But I don't know if I was mentioning this before or if whatever, on an older video. I've been getting lots of comments saying, well, why don't you just get a progressive press? Why don't you just get like a Dillon 550 or a turret press or something like that? I've thought about it, and I just don't think I want to do it, because the way I have everything set up here is the way I've been doing it since the beginning, and I really like it. There's only one thing I'll change to my bench, and I mean, I'll kind of explain it here. So the product reviewing portion of the video is pretty much at an end. I do recommend it. It takes a little bit of finicking and whatever to get it to work properly, but once you got it working properly, it's really nice to have. It's a huge benefit of an accessory for reloading lots of brass, or for just the whole process. You can size on it. It does work for straight wall, small pistol caliber brass, like for 9mm straight wall brass typically. I wouldn't resize 223 on it, or any kind of you know, full length rifle size. I wouldn't do that. It might be okay for just neck sizing, but I don't know about full length. You'll have to kind of experiment with it on your own. The shell holder is not the typical shell holder. It doesn't hold it very firmly like the standard shell holder. It holds it a little bit looser so that it has more of a chance to slide through, because it's a pass-through die, right? Or a shell holder. But anyways, yes, I do recommend it. It's affordable, even in Canada, to get one of these. It's mostly plastic, so if you're a really rough individual, maybe, you know, if you're really rammy with things, I don't suggest it for you, because it is plastic. But if you have, you know, if you're good with your hands and stuff like that, if you're, you know, easy on stuff, it'll be fine. Okay, so one of the other portion of the video is going to be kind of explaining my process in reloading, or sorry, assembling. So I do it differently than lots of people do it. Lots of people use a progressive press. I use 2 single stage presses, and that pretty much is so when I'm done shooting, let's say this is actually fired brass, just fired. I'll take it, it goes through this depriming cycle into here. And once it's done there, it goes through the wet tumbler, and then the whole pins cleaning, and then drying. And then once it's dried, it goes into a bag, into a bucket. And then once it's in the bucket, it's ready to go. So then I'll take it and I'll bring it up to here. I'll load up a tray. I have my powder measure here. And then I have a Lee O-frame press here. I do all my priming here. Powder. The one thing that I want to do is actually raise up this so I can swing the arm over top and just shoot it straight down into the cartridge. That is my end game, and I think it's going to be an awesome. I have my information written out on here for my loads. So yeah, that's what I want to do. I want to have this arm so it swings over top of here and shoots down inside the case. That'll save me a little bit of time there too, right? Instead of bringing it out and putting it in under here. So how I assemble my cartridges, I kind of got off track, I know. So I go from here into straight to here, and then I prime, case mouth expand in one shot, and then I'll be able to charge the case as well once I have this up top. So I can do all 3 in one motion. And then I take that case out. I'll have a jar of bullets typically over here somewhere. I know my table's full of stuff right now. It's kind of a mess. I'll have my bullets here. I'll take a bullet out of there, put it on top, throw it in there, seat it, crimp it, because this is a seating crimping, and then it's done. And then it just goes into one of these containers or ammo crate or whatever. So that's my process. And the reason I like that way so much, yeah, it takes a little bit longer than a Dillon 550. Yeah, easy on the word. A little bit longer, because you can pump rounds out on a Dillon pretty quickly. But the problem, I think, is that You don't have the same quality control with a progressive press as you do with this kind of setup. With this kind of setup, I don't want to say it. I really don't want to say it. For the sake of the video, I will say it, okay? So for my mindset, ever since I started shooting cowboy action or any shooting sport, I have never had ammo hiccup. I've never had a squib. I've never had, like a high primer. When I first started, I had a couple of high primers because I didn't know any better. But since I've figured that out, I have not had a high primer. I've never had a squib. I've never had a double charge or anything like that. I've never had any issues. I've always had good, solid crimps, good quality controlled ammo. And it might, like I said, it might take me a little bit longer to load that ammunition. However, it's more reliable than it would be on a, set and forget Dillon unit, right? Because you're just you load it all up. I've seen videos of these machines that are just ridiculous. Like, they'll have a huge bullet funnel and powder, and you just hit the start button and it just goes on itself, and it has a big tote where it dumps in the cartridges. But most of the guys that run that kind of equipment, I've been noticing, I go to these shoots not as often as I'd like to, but there's lots of guys with those types of things that have ammo problems. Not getting a good enough crimp on a tubular magazine. The bullets will push in the spring. The bullets will stack up against each other and actually push the bullet inside the case of the next one, causing a jam on the line. Maybe because the machine didn't do a good crimp on one of the bullets that it was doing the automated whatever thing, right? It's just it's a personal preference. This is the way I like to load, and this is probably the way I'll always load. I know that I have excellent quality control with my ammo, and I'll continue doing it until there's something out there that performs better. But I mean, you're your own worst enemy for this kind of stuff too, right? Like, if you're not paying attention and you don't powder a case, that's on you, I guess. But try not to have too many distractions while you're reloading. I like to typically just put music on and get in the groove and do it. Anyways, this video is probably long enough. Rambled on long enough. APP press, yes, I do recommend it. A little finicky to get going, but once you get going, it will help your process and make reloading a little bit less tedious for you. Anyways, keep shooting out there, guys. Dusty Tucker signing out. We'll see you next time.